Hello, I am CRomer, and you can see I'm all suited up for today's ride in my sun-safe arm and leg coverings. We are in Forest Park on our way to Ferguson. Along the way, we will post route maps and reference points. You may pause and look at details as we go. I won't spend a lot of time on them. We are right here at this traffic circle with this pedestrian walking through it on their phone. And we came up through the road because we were traveling a little faster than the bike path. And the bike path was pretty busy because it's the weekend. At this intersection, I met this nice road rider. We're at Forsyth at Forest Park. And this is typical of riders. Like, I just happened to comment on his jersey. He said, thanks. And then he starts to talk about Santa Fe, which is it's a New Mexico jersey. He recently returned from Santa Fe. He asked if I had ridden there, and we start talking about riding and in St. Louis and other states. And this is the common type of discussions I have on the road. Unlike the other video you might have seen I posted where it was mostly silence at a crosswalk, this is more typical. So cutting through Washington University, it's the weekend, there's nobody here. If you do go through Washington University, please yield to everyone and ride slowly. I found this lost shoe, sort of a Cinderella moment. I decided to take it over and place it on top of the trash receptacle. Then I went over to the security guard and reported that I'd found a lost shoe. They were very nice and let me know that there were numerous events over the weekend and somebody probably just dropped it as they were returning back to the dorm or leaving with family. There was nothing nefarious. As I mentioned, if you go through here, please ride slowly and respectfully. There is a bike path, but often there are students and faculty walking across it. So ride slowly so we are allowed to come through Washington University to get to this other path. I will speed up sections as I mentioned, and I apologize if you get motion sickness. There are occasionally some twists and turns on these paths, and then at times they're going to be sped up. I'll try to put links in the comments so you can skip through those. We are coming up to University City Loop, also known as the Loop. Blueberry Hill is to our right. Where we want to go is directly across the street, right past Chuck Berry, and onto this path. It's a path that you might not know about. This is part of the Centennial Greenway, and it goes through the campus housing and eventually past the Dolphin Water Fountain feature. Where we want to go is up here to the left, and then to hop on to Kingsland. You can also take Ferguson Avenue north. Kingsland is pretty quiet, and although there's a few stop signs, it's usually not a lot of traffic. So here's where we're turning right off of Vernon to Kingsland. When we get up to Page, we do have to jog across to continue on Kingsland. Take your time. If you don't feel comfortable, don't go. And or you can ride up the sidewalk the short distance here and then look for a break to go straight across. In this case, I'm going to look for a break and then head to the center, watching for this car that's pulling out in front of me, and then make a left back onto Kingsland. Eventually, we will make our way up to St. Charles Rock Road, where the metro and bus station is. There was no traffic here on the weekend. I went across here and hit the crosswalk as I got through. Kind of backwards, yes, but I gave them a green light. They were waiting, and that person doesn't go. The bus eventually honks at the driver. This is a new stretch of Greenway, part of St. Vincent Greenway. You can see that they painted the intersections and other areas where there might be confusion as to its use. So here you see the crosswalks are green and white. It's come along very nicely, and for the most part, people respect this as a pedestrian and bike path. It's not 100% perfect yet. There are some tweaks needed. Like here, you see this 2-post sign in the path, and it comes down to how the municipality wants to arrange things too. So it might be a work in progress. This entrance, and there's an entrance a little farther down on the other side of this gas station, is brand new. It twists around like this to slow down bike traffic. The paths sometimes feature these little cutbacks so that it slows down traffic, but also so you can see vehicular traffic and those drivers can see you rather than just blasting onto a crosswalk. They give you a little cutback so that you can see one another. It's very common and very safe. This pathway will eventually reduce down into one that's about the size of a normal sidewalk. And that was the focus of this section of the video. You have choices as to how to proceed here. You could hop off onto the roadway into the park. It's typically fairly light. You could continue on St. Vincent Greenway, and where it reduces to the size of a typical sidewalk. Just be careful of walkers or other riders. Or our friend Evie had a post, and one of her friends, Emma, had suggested this route where we go into the park and past the cemetery, and it's really quite lovely. If you're in a rush, you probably want to take the roadway, or if you're feeling like you don't want to ride on the road, you probably want to take that small sidewalk. Or if you have the time, this is a good option, and it's really lovely. There is a roadway coming up on this path that does get some traffic. As always, just be aware of your surroundings, and as you come through here, just yield accordingly. You can see this car comes up and goes through slowly. I go through slowly. Everyone's driving in a courteous manner. There's nothing wrong here. We're just being safe. So the rest of this, and again, this is a section that is sped up just so we don't take up too much time, but you get to see all of it, is really lovely, as I mentioned earlier. Sorry to repeat that, but it really is. As Emma had pointed out, it's just a beautiful ride. You come through here and ride through the park and then ride past the cemetery. Eventually, it will connect back up to that normal route. If you were going up St. Vincent Greenway, or if you had gone up the road and gone into the park entrance and continued on the path past the fields, this will join that section. So as we come up past the cemetery on the right, and then we wind back and forth, and then we come up past the field, you'll see that we get to the end of the park and we get through this gate that's at the end of the park, so they can close off the park if it's closed. When you come through here, you're going to make a right, and I was so happy and unfocused by this beautiful ride. I missed the turn, and I've done this probably 6 times in the last few weeks. But you want to make this right turn right here, and if you miss it, you'll end up in just that suburban subdivision, and you just need to do a minor course correction like I do here. Then continuing on, you'll go past the Umsel fields, sport fields, and then eventually to Natural Bridge Road. Here you can make a decision. On this ride, I went right into the city. You could also go left and go through the campus, and then eventually up into Ted Jones Trail, that goes all the way to Ferguson. I'll show you that in a moment. This is just an example of if you were to go right and head towards the downtown area or further into the city, you see there's a nice bike path. You go past the county library, because we're still in the county at this point. Right there is the county library. You go past some of the large Catholic schools that are in this area, and eventually you come to a roundabout. We don't have a lot of roundabouts, so if you want to catch them all, this is where one of them is. The other option is to go left into Umsel and then across campus, and then make the right onto Ted Jones. So I'm going to show that to you here. When you come across campus, you'll look for this building, and you want to go through this little tunnel that goes under a roadway. You'll go past the parking garage and maintenance area, and then you want to slow down. Obviously, we're going to slow down the video here too. You want to go slowly through here. There's quite a bit of pedestrian and bike traffic here, so just use caution going around that corner, and then go up this climb. And as you continue up this climb, you'll turn left, go across this bridge, and then you're into this really long straight section of peaceful riding, which I did not know about until recently. It's a rather straight shot along here. You eventually come to this tunnel under the highway. It can be rather dark. The camera adjusted here and it looks more well lit than it is, but it's very cool. If it's a hot day, you can cool down as you go through here. But use caution as you exit. There can be standing water and there's mud. So reduce your speed before the water, but keep enough speed to get through there. And don't turn, don't brake, just try to get through the puddle safely. Don't ask me how I know that. I might have gone down in mud a few months ago near the Merrimack, but that's just conjecture. Eventually, once we get through all of this peaceful, secluded riding, we will come upon Ferguson. You kind of are dumped behind the post office area near the train bridge. So if you continue just north of where I'm about to get off at the end here, you end up in Ferguson, where you could choose to continue onto other routes, or you could just turn back and do this lovely out and back. It looks very impressive too on a post because Ferguson seems so far away, but it's really not. And we appreciate all the comments, so please leave comments, like and subscribe if you feel so inclined, and we look forward to having you for the next video.